I'm Dr. Tony Coulson from California State University, San Bernardino. Like Kareen, I am part of an NSF ACE grant called CyberWatch West. I'm also part of another NSF-granted program called Scholarship for Service, CyberCore. They keep changing the name. I think actually now it's called CyberCore Scholarship for Service. I also run in Center of Academic Excellence at the university in specializing in the area of information assurance, which is security. And then I also run a DoD grant program. And in between all of that, I teach classes. And, and I try and survive in the wonderful community of San Bernardino. You might have heard we're bankrupt. We lead California in murders per capita. Last night I heard 40 tires were slashed in my neighborhood. That's what we do for fun. We also are world famous because we had the professor who was very entrepreneurial and was running a motorcycle gang and selling methamphetamine. So, as you can tell, we have an entrepreneurial spirit at Cal State San Bernardino. But more seriously, we are a kind of an interesting campus in that we are majority Hispanic, low income, and almost 70% female at our campus. And so I came out here to Northern California, or what we in Southern California refer to as Canada. I came out here and I brought two of my children. I have 3 daughters, and I brought my wife, and my wife says, why are we going out? And I said, well, I thought it'd be a nice drive. The 5 freeway is so beautiful this time of year. And I said, I'm doing a talk. And she said, well, what's your talk on? And I said, cybersecurity and the gender gap. And for about a half hour, she was laughing. She said, what do you know about women? And I can tell you, I am not an expert in this. Yeah, I am not an expert. I have not done extensive gender research. So if I slip up here and I start talking like I know something about females, just ask my wife. I'll get her on the phone and she will say I know nothing about women in general. But what I do know is how to build a successful cybersecurity program, especially in an environment like the one I have at Cal State San Bernardino. So that's really what I want to talk to you about. Is if you're going beyond information systems and technology and you want to build a cybersecurity program, we already know that in general women have not engaged in this field. So according to the Chronicle of Higher Ed, just one little quote: females do not gravitate towards technical fields. Now, to me, I don't see why not. I really don't. At my university, again, 70% female at the university, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, women are going to be the leaders of the next generation, because the dropout rate for successful completion of males at our university is absolutely horrendous. More women graduate, more women occupy seats at the university, they take the courses. What is going on? And then, read that statistic. A state university, that's us, almost 70% female, only 15% in computer science and 25% on the business side in information systems. It's a real conundrum. So I've been at the university now 12 years. My parole officer says it's almost over, but that's okay. If you know our neighborhood, then you know that most of us faculty are on parole. And in that period of time, I've sat in one meeting, a total of one meeting, where they sat down and they said, how can we encourage more women to be part of our technology programs? And that was at the beginning of my 12 years. No progress whatsoever. It was like it was something somebody might have heard in a meeting and said, we ought to bring that up as an issue. Because our enrollments were fine. They were doing okay. But over time, we started to see fewer and fewer students. So they said, well, how can we engage? How can we get more students involved? It must be because people think there's outsourcing or all those reasons that you heard this morning.
And again, the one person in the meeting brought up, well, how about we recruit women into the program? And you know what was odd about that discussion? Because the person that mentioned it was the only woman in the entire department. Because everybody else, this is who we're asking for insight, right? We're asking a whole bunch of guys sitting around. And so I'm going to give you, this is, and I hope that nobody finds this offensive, but I'm going to give you some of the actual ideas that came from this crowd. Now I had to use, first I actually had real pictures of our professors, but evidently they didn't want to be associated. So this is actually one of our professors that is retired and died. So I felt safe, okay, because that's the way it works. Anyway, I felt safe, and then I put these pictures up. So we're in a meeting, and we're having a serious discussion on this. So somebody brought up that perhaps the reason that we did not have a large number of women in our program is because our classrooms were cold and barren looking, and that perhaps we should change the decor. I'm serious. Now, look, I'm a guy who does not, again, I'm not an expert on gender relations. I am not an expert in research. I am definitely, you know, just, this is my area of expertise, but I knew that was wrong. That is wrong, and I believe the women in the room would also probably concur. How dense can you be, right? So then, faculty, this guy says, this is when he was alive. He didn't talk while he was dead. If he did, we call that zombies, and there's a whole other lecture I can give on that. Okay, so this guy says, I have an idea. Let's recruit more people that look like Tony. Now, I will admit I am a good-looking man, but again, not what we should be doing in a serious discussion on this. But we never got any groundwork. We never got anything constructive out of this group of what it is that we should be doing to attract females to the program. Then someone brought up the perceptions of the field. Maybe just the overall perception of what this is a male-dominated field. Maybe this is why this is not an attractive field. And I said, well, maybe not just for females, but maybe for human beings in general. Now, yes, we fear that there is incredible geekiness out there. And not everybody is a geek, even though geeks are cool right now. And yes, Dungeons and Dragons, that scares me, right? Video game playing guys. This scary guy here. You must be a Star Trek fan to enjoy technology fields, right? We have these stereotypes. By the way, I love that picture. I found it on the internet. Party Spock is in the house tonight. All right. So, yes, this is full of stereotypes. Is this meant to engage you in some way? Yes, meant to give you a laugh. But let me tell you how there's deep-seated truth in this, that there's actually people that kind of work on this level. So I have some females in my program, and we went to a conference where there were 350 technology students present. And one of the women in my program got up to the microphone, went to speak, and somebody yelled out, "Hey, look, it's Technology Barbie." And I said, wow, this is for real. Then several of the girls found that they were being hit on constantly, and they attributed it and laughingly said, that's because none of these guys had ever seen a girl before. And I said, this is just an interesting thing. Is there some truth in the matter that maybe the environment is uncomfortable? And can I change that? I don't know if I can change that. But I think that maybe there might be a smidge of something to that. That maybe we're in a case, I'll give you another example. We competed in the collegiate cyber defense competition. We had, out of our team of 8, we had 3 women on the team. They walked into the competition briefing room and everyone stopped and stared. It was like somebody dropped a pin, and somebody from another Cal State looks and goes, "They've got girls on their teams. Are you kidding? Are you kidding?" I mean, it just shocked me. But that's just one piece, and yes, we could have that battle of, you know, sexism and stereotypes. I believe it is alive and well, especially in the technology field. And can I solve that problem myself? No, I think there's a societal issue at play. But still, in spite of this, how do we try and attract more women into the field and let them know that there is room and you can be in this environment and there's opportunity just for you too? So I'm a person that is into STEP programs. How can we do this? And let's do it logically. Again, I don't think that I am necessarily going to be able to change society at large overnight. A matter of fact, we just had a meeting in my Scholarship for Service group. So I have 20 students that I'm taking to Washington, D.C. Next week. And half of them are women. And we had to have a special session on how to behave like adults and how to behave in a way that is not going to be involve sexual harassment, because we've seen it happen at the events. Last year, one of my students at this same job fair was approached by a federal government employee for a private interview. Yes, for real. And she called me and said, "This person wants to meet me in the hotel bar late at night." And I said, "Just tell me where and I'll just show up and we'll just have a conversation real quick just to make sure." But there's a lot of that happening. So we did a special session on how to handle sexual harassment, how to gracefully handle it from the women's side. I have a lady Valentina, that works with me. She helps me with these things on everything from professional dress and conduct, all of those things, to try and make sure that we're not, you know, how to handle these environments. But again, how do I make a strong academic program that says that we are all inclusive and that maybe you can be a part of it too? So how do we attract women to this field? Well, number one, research the most popular majors that the women are in at your school. So we decided to do this factually. What are the majors that are predominantly driven by females at the university? Then, because we're cybersecurity, how does it map to skills that we need in cybersecurity? So we have the National Institutes of Standards and Technology, the NICE framework. NICE stands for, Peggy?
National Initiative Cybersecurity Education.
There you go, Cybersecurity Education Framework. So this is getting back to the facts of the matter. What are the things that will help get us jobs? What is in the workforce framework? And then we map the skills of the popular majors against this and see that, you know what, there is a chance that what you're majoring in you has skill sets that are transferable into the cybersecurity field, and maybe you would be better off not only maybe dual majoring, maybe having diverse skill sets, or there's room for you here. It isn't a bunch of people talking about Star Trek and Dungeons and Dragons, or it's not solely based on that environment that can be rather caustic at times. And then the fourth step is to simply develop a marketing plan based on that. Now, I'm in a business school, and you would think marketing plans, we live and breathe them. But you know what? The only people that live and breathe marketing plans in the business school are the people that teach marketing. Everybody else's job is to say why marketing is no good can be in my concentration or my major. But if we're going to be serious about recruiting, what is the first rule of recruiting? It's marketing. You've got to get the word out there. So I'm going to take you through the 4 steps that we went and tell you some of the results that we came up with by going through this. So first of all, we are academics, and supposedly we do some type of research. So we went out and we researched what are the most popular majors. Now, I'm not getting the ones for my specific university in this case because they're probably less interesting than these numbers. So I pulled some numbers out there that are nationwide. This is actually Forbes went and did a study, was actually commissioned by UCLA, and this is the results. Graduating, so this is the number of people graduating based on the number of graduates, and the percentages represent the percentage that are currently female in those fields. So number one, producing the most women graduates is business, and the specific disciplines, management, sales, accounting, and finance. Number two is healthcare. So nursing, physical therapy, and in all of healthcare, all those graduates, so if we had 100,000 graduates in healthcare, 85% of them were women. Social science, 49.3% emphasis teaching and research in the social sciences. Education, overwhelmingly women-dominated, elementary and secondary school. Psychology. Now, my wife is a psychology professor, and we have this discussion all the time because I say so many students at my university, the #1 program at the entire University of Psychology, and I said, what can you do with a bachelor's degree in psychology? And she says, lots of things. And I said, what? And she said, you can go get a master's degree. All there, I still don't get it. There's no jobs in the field for a bachelor's degree, but still, dominant. Counseling and teaching. Actually, I think that's why my wife married me. She's a psychologist, and I was her subject. Still working on me. Visual arts, graphic arts and design, and communication, sales, and public relations. So these are the most likely field that women are graduating in. You notice technology fields, not there. So what is it, the question I have is, what is it about these fields that is attractive? What are the common skill sets? Well, I started to ponder and I said, well, it has a lot to do with communications. A lot of this has to do with communication, and my wife, being a psychologist, she gave me a whole pile of research based on why women are better at communicating than men, and I am hereby not going to give that to you because I can't proclaim myself as being an expert. But there's got to be some skill sets in here that are common not only to these fields, but also to the field of cybersecurity and technology. So I decided that we'd identify 3 that sort of stuck out. So business, management, sales, accounting, and finance. Social science, particularly I think the area of research might be interesting. And visual arts, graphic arts, and design. I thought, let's just take a few targets and see what skills that are present in there would be also in the field of cybersecurity.
Why did you pick the lower one? Why did you pick the higher?
Well, healthcare, nursing, and physical therapy, a little harder to map based on what you're about to see. So I'm looking at kind of glaring examples, just right off the top of my head. What would be the fields that would be? And tell you what, if I get any of these, I'm going to increase my numbers in recruitment. So now, if I'm going to take these, and I am going to want to know a little bit more about them, I need to do some research. So I chose just a subset of some of these fields. So business, what's in it? What are the responsibilities? Assigning sales territories, setting benchmarks and goals, developing sales campaigns. Ooh, sales campaigns. Campaigns. That's interesting. Campaigns. Military word. Is it applicable to cybersecurity? Interesting to me. Business management, the coordination of human, material, and financial resources to accomplish organizational goals. Is that in cybersecurity? Yeah, you know, I think there is. I think there's ways that we have to apply management principles in cybersecurity. Accounting, approach, analyze, shape, financial practices with business or organization, problem solving, and logic skills. Man, they do a lot of audit. They're trying to figure out these numbers. That's very interesting. I think that's very applicable to what we're doing. Social sciences and research. I tell you, social scientists, we hear the term social workers or even psychologists, the research skills, because they really have to be in the business of trying to take a lot of variables and discern what might be doing the cause and effect. They do more with statistics than any other field. Wow, statistical data analysis, quantitative and qualitative research methods, that's big. And then visual arts. What about those artists? Well, it's critical thinking. New technology into their work because they're doing a lot with tech, right? They teach Photoshop and all sorts of things in our particular program, but it's also about the visual communication of information. Just right off the top of my head, I look at that and I go, what is big data all about that we keep hearing about? Big data is taking data, pulling it, seeing trends, and visualizing it again. That fits in my mind. So, hey, there's some definitions. Let's take this a step further. Let's now take a look at the NICE workforce skills. So, NICE, as you might remember, stands for, Peggy?
National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education.
There you go. So, cybersecurity. So now we're heading into my domain. What is the NICE workforce framework based on? Well, it has these different categories. Securely provision, operate and maintain, protect and defend, investigate, collect and operate, analyze, oversight, and development. So at a high level, the workforce categories are broken down into these right here. And we say, well, securely provision is concerned with conceptualizing, designing, and building secure systems. Okay. And operate and maintain, that's providing support, admin, maintenance necessary to ensure effective and efficient IT system and performance. Okay, this all makes sense. This is really what cybersecurity is about. Protect and defend. Identify, analyze, mitigate threats. Investigation is trying to figure out the events and the crimes, a lot of log analysis. Collect and operate. Highly specialized and largely classified collection of cybersecurity that may be used to develop intelligence. Analyze, and oversight and development. So, a NICE framework for cybersecurity, what my curriculum is mapped around are these workforce skills. And why is my curriculum mapped around that? Because my students need to get jobs. So if my curriculum is mapped around that, and we know that people are majoring and they seem to have a skill set or be drawn to a skill set from these other disciplines, could there be commonalities between that? And maybe that's what we need to emphasize in our marketing to try and get more women interested. Find out where they're majoring, find out what their skills are, let's map it out. So, sat down and we had a discussion, and we drew up this fantastic mapping diagram. Doesn't make any sense, right? Because that's how the discussion went. Everybody sat around and they said, well, here's a definition at 10,000 feet of NICE. Here's a definition at 10,000 feet here. And it just went all crazy and nutty in there. And it became, well, I think everything applies to everything. And I said, no, no, no. We need to get this down. If we were going to spend $1 million on a Super Bowl ad, would we just spend $1 million and just throw it out and say we think? No, we would analyze it and try and get down to the nitty-gritty. What are the specific skills? Now, the great part about the NICE framework is it is very, 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 very complete. So I'm going to pull out of here for a second. I like Doctor Who, by the way, because I am a geek. That is my geek credentials. So we took the entire framework and we used this framework to the NICE. This is the NICE framework, and these are the knowledge, skills, and abilities. And we're not going to read these out loud unless you want to go for an hour. I could. But we took the knowledge, skills, and abilities that are described in the NICE framework, And we also use this for students to be able to map their progress of what they've learned for resume building and so on. And we started reading these different knowledge, skills, and abilities to see what would transfer into the various fields that we just described. Now this is no simple task, because this framework goes on, again, very, very complete, very complex. But again, if you were doing marketing research, wouldn't you want to know? Because that's what we're doing, is we're trying to do kind of a marketing research or a profile of who it is that we want in our program. And so we're taking a look and we're saying, here is the NICE framework, this is what we're teaching, these are the careers that we're aiming for, and here's the disciplines that are most likely have women within our university. Let's map them. So we went through that process. And we cleaned it up a lot. And we started to say, okay, we can see some connections here. So visual arts and graphic design, we got an arrow that goes all the way up here and it says, hey, that could really be tied to provisioning because it's concerned with conceptualizing and design and unique ways of looking at things. And oftentimes design involves a lot of creativity. So, hey, maybe that fits. Or perhaps sales would work for oversight and development. What do we have? We have the NICE initiative, and we have Stop, Think, and Connect, and we have ways of trying to get people to behave in certain ways. Well, sales, that's what sales is all about. It's about trying to drive behaviors and so on. So we started to push these things together until we came up with a map that was the basis of our marketing program. And our marketing program was, hey, securely provision. Who are the majors that are going to be interested in certain keywords like design and build? Well, the visual arts, graph, and also the business accounting students. We felt that they would be driven by that. Now, our next logical step actually would have been to do some market research, but we're a university with a bunch of professors, and we don't have big marketing budgets to do marketing research. But hey, if I want to write a paper out of this, I suppose I could do it, huh? Business management, business accounting, and so on. And we started and we mapped these, and we felt that these would be the areas that we would place advertisements, that we would maybe gather and have discussions, or maybe even bring a speaker from industry with one of these backgrounds. And so actually for the business accounting side, we brought in 2 speakers, one from the Treasury and one from the Internal Revenue Service, to come in and talk to students. And we aimed it specifically at accounting students because whenever they hear IRS, they get all excited, the general population. And then we said, great. And one of them happened to be a very successful female executive from the Treasury and the gentleman from the IRS. And they sat there and they spoke. And it was amazing because we had the general population, which was predominantly females, showed up. And we started talking about how it all relates to cybersecurity, and the results were really phenomenal. A lot of people say, I never thought about that. I never thought I could be a technology type of person. As a matter of fact, the majority of the women in my program all started out, or a majority of them started out with a completely different concentration or major. Never thought they could do cybersecurity until we showed them, yeah, there's room for you here. There's something here that interests you. So I have marketing students that are now working for big government agencies. They were marketing, and now they're in government, working in cybersecurity. How does that relate? Well, it absolutely relates. What do? Oversight and develop opportunities. So when there's a new, say, compliance document that comes out, they learn the compliance document and they get everybody to come along on the compliance. That's marketing, isn't it? Isn't that sales? You got to sell everybody. Hey guys, we just got this new legal document. How are we going to get that out to you? Right there. It makes sense.
Tony?
Yes.
Did the faculty from the other school where these students came from, did they feel like you stole them?
No, because here's the approach that I take on this, because there's a lot of talk of poaching. I always tell the students, look, as a workforce, you need to be diverse. And if your life is set up for college now, take as much college as you can. And so I encourage them to pick up minors or dual concentrations if they can. I say, think about it. If you're an accountant and you graduate with an accounting degree with cybersecurity, hey, your odds of getting a job are really, really good. Think about a Cal State in California. We have 23 California State University classes that all are campuses that all graduate around the same time. So I'll have a room full of students and I will say, you see all your friends around you right now? They're all your enemy on graduation day. How are you going to make yourself different from the person next to you that's graduating with the same degree? And that is picking up a second. And so I had pushback from the computer science faculty because, well, we're business IT, and they just naturally don't like us. And we always get involved in that little, I don't get involved, but there's these people that feel that we're not the real science. And I said, why don't we have your computer science students just take a few extra courses and we'll send some of our students down the other way? No, that will never happen. You're trying to steal our students. So I just went to them at a faculty meeting with data showing that we've just thrown both boats. They're both floating higher now because we did some marketing. We added some intelligence. Come on, we're all smart people. We can do this.
How do you account for the graduation and looking at outcomes, of course, making sure that persistence pays off and students graduate? So do they get counted as you or do they get counted as the other?
It depends on whether they're majors or minors or dual concentration. When they're dual concentration, they walk at our place, you walk through whatever line you want to stand in, and your name gets read out. Yeah, that's a ceremony. But on their diploma, it shows they graduated with 2 concentrations. Plus, if you're in cybersecurity, you get some additional certificates and things like that.
Has the 403B hurt you at all as far as that 60 credits max?
Yeah, well, you see, a lot of people are concerned. They say, hey, look, what about these extra, these credit limits that the students are being put on? Well, there's a secret here. The secret is that there's certain mandatory classes you have to take, and if you don't take that class, you can't graduate. So what do we tell the students to do? Don't take it. They have to keep you at the university until you've taken that class, so don't take it. I know, I'm a bad guy, but in the end, what's more important really? Is it that the university got you out in 60 units or that the student is well qualified to get a job? My take on it is all about students getting jobs so they can pay the California taxes and keep it employed.
If a student is taking a second minor, for instance, or a minor, then it doesn't really count for that maximum.
That's right.
So it doesn't hurt them.
That's right, but in the dual concentration it does.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so careers. So then we just mapped down and we said, all right, here are typical job titles so that when they do their research, we got this from the NICE framework, and we started developing and saying, because students come and say, well, what kind of job could I get? Give me a name. I want to look on Monster. I want to research it. So now we say, hey, here's some jobs that are mapped to the knowledge, skills, and ability of the NICE framework that are also tied to your major, and here's some specific job titles you could have related to that. And what did we do there? Yeah, we created certain documents. We started putting in the elevator, and then we started putting in the doors, and we started handing it out, actually showing these very same data I just showed you, saying, hey, you interested in cybersecurity? What can you do with it? Well, here's some job descriptions. And change your world, and we have this whole, change your world, protect your world, and we have that in certain disciplines, and we have these meetings, and we have gatherings, and we're no longer the cybersecurity geeks that, hide in the hallways talking about Star Trek. Now suddenly we are very diverse. As a matter of fact, since we kicked off doing this, we decided to go after a cohort, and we have 45% female now. 45%.
Do you have a certificate or a minor in cybersecurity?
We have a certificate program, and we have we don't have an official minor. We have an unofficial minor. It's you talk to me, and I figure out a way to make you have a minor. But we're working on that to get that on the books, because the chancellor of the state of California, the previous chancellor, said no new programs. So we have something going. But now we're expanding this to graduate programs. The same model, and yeah. Now, do I have all the answers here? No. But what I'm really getting at here is, come on, let's look at this intelligently. We sat on it for 12, 13 years, thinking it was all to do about silly things and stereotypes, and really there's other simpler ways. Your gender, your race, you're all just people. And so what you need to do is communicate to the right group of people what it is that they may not be hearing. That's marketing, right? Marketing is to suggest and to educate and make you make the decision yourself, and that's what we did. And so we took a framework that is out there, the NICE framework that we base our cybersecurity on, and we just looked at it and said, okay, what are the other entities that are out there? What is it that, if this is our target group we're going after, in this case it's women, what is it that the women are mostly majoring in, and what are the commonality of skills, so we can educate them and say there's room for you here. Yes?
Were you able, the 45%, were they mostly from business area, or were they evenly distributed, social science, business?
I have criminal justice is big, feeding into this. And that wasn't even on our chart, on the chart I showed you, but we somebody saw an advertisement and suddenly it just started happening. So we have criminal justice, a lot of accounting and finance, psychology. That's the one that's a big draw from our university. Yeah, we're doing fine. And now I'm trying to think. We have now 4 women are doing a cybersecurity computer science right now. They've decided to do both at the same time, which is amazing. That's basically getting 2 degrees. It's a business degree and a computer science degree, because they found it interesting. And you know, oh, you're going to have to take calculus. Oh, that's no problem. I'll take calculus. And so we're starting to see that. Again, both boats are being lifted here, computer science and us, just by, again, effectively communicating what this field has to offer. And so next week we're going to go to this job fair, the Scholarship for Service job fair, and we have overwhelming percentage of women in our program. And it was nothing I would say I did. There's no secret formula. Just applied some good old-fashioned common sense to it. Yes?
Are there freshman experience courses across the different programs at the university that some of the things you talked about in terms of NICE could be, I don't want to say coerced, but combined from other programs, so that at least this information could get out to even more of this?
We have a program called SOAR, which is all about what incoming freshmen, as part of their orientation, get a presentation, if you will, from each one of the different colleges on our campus. But a majority, if you're a Cal State professor, majority of your students are coming from community colleges, because the priority registration is all for transfers.
So are most of them upper division students when they come in?
Yes. They've completed their 2 years at community college.
Have you thought about it like a forensic accounting program within the business?
Yeah, what's interesting is my neighbor in my office is an accountant, and he and I have been talking a while about forensic accounting, and then he was advising a student the other day, and he said to the student, you know, you could take IT or cybersecurity classes, but you know what, they'll just train you when you get a job. Just take more accounting classes. So I think I have a different stumbling block in that requirement. I think that there's that whole thing of budget, FTEs, all that silly stuff. But I'm going to leave. What time am I over? 4:30. 4:30? Okay. Before I'll open up for more questions, I just want to let you know that since I'm with CyberWatch West, we have 2 courses that are coming online January 18th through February 15th, Friday nights from 5 to 8 online, digital forensics if you're interested. We also have ethical hacking, 5 weeks, February 22nd to March 22nd if you want to register. That's the URL. If you're a member of CyberWatch West, it's $100 for each course, and if you're a non-member, it's $150. Most of the people that are taking the digital forensics will qualify for the ACE certification from Forensics Toolkit. So that's a side plug I have for you.
Non-credit?
If you would like credit, if you need CPE credits or graduate credit, I can arrange that. You can contact me directly, and I can. I think it runs $900 a class because we have to run it through the university. Okay. So any other questions on the topic that I presented on? Yes.
So are these live or recorded?
They're live. Live online, but we will record sessions so that if you can't make it from 5 to 8 on Fridays, if that's your bowling night or something, then
So we can ask you questions?
it's not me teaching it, but you can ask the instructor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So questions? Nice questions?
Which do you like better, ACE or FTK?
Well, ACE is FTK.
ACE is the other.
NCASE.
Yeah.
NCASE is not as university friendly as far as their licensing and expenses go. But that's not my expertise, evidently. But I just wanted to plug this as some classes that CyberWatch West is offering.
Into your data, would you be interested in sharing some of the some of the methods that you're using across different campuses, or in our case, maybe our campus?
If anybody would like to hear me, toot this horn, I'd be glad to do it. It's just, to me, as I said, sometimes the easy way is to base everything on perception and not reality. And so people work off their perceptions and their stereotypes, and they think this is what it's all about. But again, we're smart people and we're researchers, so a little touch of research here and there of some things that are based in reality, and suddenly we can have success. And I can tell you, it didn't take a committee to do this. I can say the advertisements, no problem at all. It took me maybe an afternoon to make up the advertisements. To organize the events, it just made a lot of sense. Just invite some people, offer free pizza, people show up, you start getting the word out, and then pretty soon it starts feeding itself. And you see, when you walk into a classroom and everybody looks kind of like you say, hey, this is where I belong. And so, again, we're starting to see, we see more women in the field. We have a natural at our university because majority Hispanic. We have a natural Hispanic majority as part of that group. We didn't go outward to recruit. It just happened. That's just because of our population. But if I said, well, we don't have enough, say, African Americans, I would probably apply the same tactic. What are African Americans majoring in, and how can we get them into our program? Any other questions? Comments? Did I do okay, Corrine? You were watching me for words, Yeah, okay, good. All right, well, thank you very much. If you want to go take a break or whatever, if you want to come talk to me, you can.